Hi, my name is Nick, and I have been an avid Halo player since the days of Halo 2. As we all know, Halo 4 has been out for over a month now, and I just recently finished the legendary run-through for the campaign. No, it was not my first time through it. I could never do that. I've always started out any Halo campaign on the normal difficulty, so that way I can get a feel for the gameplay and the story. Once I do so, then I just go right into legendary. That is just the way I've always done it. My very first run through of the campaign, I felt as if it was very intense with the introductions of the Prometheans. Before I begin, I will warn that I will be discussing the contents of the campaign, so for those of you who have yet to complete it, spoiler alert. As for the story, I saw Cortana dying from the very start. Other than that, I was satisfied with the story. Like all other Halo stories, it takes me a while to really digest it and get a real honest opinion. I'm not to that point yet with Halo 4. I still find Halo 3's story to be the best so far, with bringing everything full circle at the time. As for the gameplay, I do like that sprint is a core function now. Also, I find 343 Industries' adjustment to armor abilities satisfying. The return of the Covenant was a plus, and you knew what to expect once you encountered them. Now with the Prometheans, it took me some time to get a feel for how they really interacted with you. I felt as if they were overwhelming when I did my first run through, but when I went back on Legendary, I knew from past experience that I needed to take my time and keep a distance. Doing so, plus having some more time encountering the Prometheans, I felt as if they were rather repetitive and had to do the same thing every time to kill them. Obviously, it was going to take more time to get through just in general with legendary difficulty, but I felt the pace of the campaign was fairly smooth with one exception, the mission Reclaimer. That was by far the longest mission and the highest difficulty of completion, with very little cover to many Covenant vehicles throughout the whole level. I had to resort to using the Mammoth as cover the whole time. Since both rocket turrets were blown off because they were run by my AI allies, we all know how friendly AI is. I had to take my sweet time using the Warthog while still within the Mammoth to take out vehicles before I could continue any further. Speaking of AI, obviously it's still bad as ever. I fear it will remain that way for some time to come. As far as weapons go, I absolutely love that they brought back the battle rifle, carbine, and the beam rifle. 3 of my favorite weapons of all time. We also saw the return of several familiar pieces, such as the DMR, assault rifle, Needler, etc. Speaking of the Needler, I love how powerful it is when it's in my hands, but hate it when it's in the Covenant's hands. We can't forget about the new additions. For the UNSC, we have the SAW, Railgun, and Sticky Detonator. The Railgun has to be my favorite of the 3. I was afraid of the SAW being overpowered at first, but then I saw how close range you need to be, and its damage was so small. The Covenant only brought one new weapon with the Storm Rifle, but let's face it, it's not the Plasma Rifle. For the Promethean weapons, we have the Binary Rifles, Bolt Shot, Incineration Cannon, Light Rifle, Scatter Shot, Suppressor, and their Pulse Grenades. The Binary Rifle is by far my favorite of those. Probably my favorite sniper. I just wish it had a little more ammo, but that would probably make it a little overpowered. I'm not very fond of the Bolt Shot and Suppressor, and hardly use either of them. The Light Rifle and Scatter Shot are great replacements for the UNSC counterparts. Now we introduce the Mantis. I was very afraid of reading about this and thinking would be extremely overpowered, but after getting in a few of them, and especially in multiplayer, they don't last very long. Vehicles in general don't last that long anymore. I'm not a big fan of the vehicles having its separate health, and it will blow up even if you have full shields. When that happens, you don't even die. You just walk away. Now that we're on multiplayer, I will state that it's not the prettiest, but just give 343 some time. Since it's a brand spanking new game, it's going to take a while to get everything we want and how we want to play. My current rant about multiplayer is the lack of weapons on the map for Slayer. No weapons? What? No ammo? There are several things that can be done to the Flood game type, especially since it's being one of my favorite game types of all time. One thing that really gets on everyone's nerve is when a Spartan spawns but shows up as an enemy on radar and has a separate color. If you're not paying attention, you might accidentally kill him and might get you booted from the game. Basically what I'm saying for multiplayer is there isn't a lot of variety out there for the game times yet. But that's just because the game is fairly new. Now when Halo 5 is being announced and is probably the time Halo 4 multiplayers will be the best. That seems to be how it always is with any Halo game. Armor in this game is absolutely hideous, in my opinion anyways, with a few exceptions. Since I just completed the Legendary campaign, I am now rocking a Mark 6 armor. Before I just unlocked the Operator helmet, which those two were the main ones I was shooting for anyways. It's funny to say how we all thought something like EOD and Scout were ugly as hell in Halo 3, but are pretty awesome in Halo 4. I could really care less about this leveling up system that has been in place since Reach. However, 343 has mentioned possibly bringing a 0 to 50 rank system sometime in the future. As long as it's not like Arena from Reach, I will be pumped for that. Halo 2 and Halo 3 had great ranking systems, and I don't understand why people think 0 to 50 levels is a bad idea. Maybe they weren't even good enough to get past 20. Well, that's pretty much my overall thoughts and opinions on 343 Industries' take on the Halo universe. But now I have one question is, what's going to happen in Halo 5? And will it come out in 3 years? How long is it going to take before Microsoft even announces a new system? If it's going to take more than 3 years for a new system to come out, will 343 wait for that system to put Halo 5 on? Would you think that they would be working very closely to come up with a brand new console, especially if they want to release Halo 5 as a launch title? But only time will tell. Later, guys.